Okay, hi. So today I'm doing the 26 random questions tag. I was tagged by Sandy at Miss Reads a Lot, and I have a really hard time being succinct, so we're just going to run through these because it's 26 questions, and I could probably answer each of them in like 5+ minutes, so we're going to go fast. Question number 1 is, what was your most recent YouTube rabbit hole? I go down these all the time. In the time that since Sandy tagged me to now, I've gone down like 4 or 5 of them. I would say my most recent one is just Stardew Valley stuff, like hacks and watching people do run-throughs and literally anything Stardew Valley, which is a video game. Number 2, what song is currently stuck in your head? Okay, so another kind of YouTube spiral, but it was a listening to music spiral, is all of the covers that Our Last Night have done. Not all of them, there's a ton. But they're like a post-hardcore band that covers popular songs and has some of their own original music. And Hot Girl Bummer would be the one. I'll link it below. It probably won't be to most people's taste, but like that's my vibe of style of music. Question 3. What kind of music do you listen to the most? Okay, well, kind of just answered this, but I'm like a book omnivore, like I read everything, but with music, my tastes are much more narrow, and most of what I listen to is technically, and I don't really get into genre technicals, but if you look into any band I like, it's post-hardcore. So like alternative rock, punk, screamo. If you ever look at a Punk Goes Pop cover album, I probably listen to or know 80% of those bands. So yeah, I'll link to one of my favorite songs by my favorite bands down below, which would be Popular Monster by Falling in Reverse. Number 4, what is something you need to get better at? Need is like I'm going to let the wording go. Need is kind of, do I need to do anything? Not really. But motivation to, like, do things. I can always talk myself and rationalize why I shouldn't go do something. More recently, it's going to the climbing gym because it's about 30-minute drive each way. So it sucks up like an hour of time, and with a full-time job and eating dinner and making dinner and then going and coming back, it's like the whole night is gone. So getting the motivation to at least do that once a week is a struggle and something I am attempting to get better at. Number 5, do you set goals? What are your goals for the end of the year, next year? Okay, so this obviously was made at the beginning of last year, and I didn't do the tag at that point, but I feel like I've talked about this ad nauseum in my last few videos. I kind of set goals, but it's mainly intentions around books. I don't really set goals in my personal life. Again, more of intentions. I intend to go to the climbing gym at least once a week. I intend to go swimming twice a week. I intend to do, so not hard lines, and they kind of like, if I'm meeting it or it's easy or it's something I want to do more, I might change it, but that's kind of how I see goals and intentions. Number 6, when was the last time you lost your temper? Okay, so I'm a pretty even-keeled person. I don't know if it comes across that way on my channel, but I don't have a intense emotional range. I don't feel like extreme highs, and I also don't feel extreme lows of energy or like positive or negative energy in either direction. So I rarely lose my temper. But if I were to think about it, I think the last time would be probably about a month ago when I was at work and a group of people, no one cares. Long story short, a group of people excluded my team from plans that impacted my team after I'd been very direct about my team needing to know about those things. And I wasn't as nice as I usually am. We'll just say that. Number 7, do you swear too much? I don't know. I go through phases of swearing or not. I don't think I'm going to gauge it as too much or not enough. I just kind of sprinkle it in whenever it fits my fancy. Number 8, do you spend too much money on shoes? No. I am very particular about shoes. I don't know why. And if I could have the same shoes, like I have specific styles I want to wear and specific times I want to wear them. And when one pair of shoes, like I run it into the ground, so I always have like black tennis shoes. And if I wear them until I run them into the ground, and they have like holes in them and stuff. And then I will wait a few months longer than I should, and then I'll go buy a new pair, and if possible, I will buy an exact duplicate. So, no. Okay, 9. What is the worst book you've ever read? I'm gonna answer what's the book I've read that I've hated the most, that has more hype around it, because that's more interesting. So that would be Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I think that it has a huge audience that will love the book, and I don't actually go out of my way to recommend it, but if someone brings it up and I know they like other thriller sci-fis, I'll say, yeah, you might like that if you can ignore the fact that it like did no research on physics or time space continuums or anything like that. I essentially hate it because I expect in a sci-fi for the author to at least do a modicum of research on what they're trying to write their sci-fi about, and this author did absolutely none, and there were so many plot holes because of that, and just incorrect things happening. It drove me nuts, and I hated how women were written, and I just thought it was a terrible book, and I hated it, and I read it till the end, and I still think about how much I hate it because people read it on BookTube and love it all the time, and every time I see someone read it, I question if I should keep following them. Like, not really, but kind of. Okay, number 10. Are you a homebody or are you more adventurous? Okay. So this one, I feel like I'm just answering questions faster as opposed to answering with less words, but that is okay. I would have answered this different pre-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, I'm still kind of a homebody. Like, I take comfort in being at home and being in a space that's not surrounded by people. I'm introverted. I don't get energy from people. People sap my energy. So being in a space that I have cultivated, energizes me. Likewise, being outside and being adventurous and going on hikes and going backpacking and being in a space not surrounded by people in the outdoors also energizes me. However, pre-pandemic, I would have put myself as more adventurous. I would go on probably a vacation a quarter. So for a year, if I was going international, maybe less, because that takes a lot more time to plan and costs more money. But yeah, I've just kind of been more and more in my homebody vibe through the pandemic because where am I gonna go? So yeah. Number 11, do you take naps? Not really. And if I do, it's because I'm extremely exhausted and I take a 3-hour nap. I'm not one of those people who can just take a 20-minute nap and feel energized, because it takes me at least 20 minutes to fall asleep. So I'm one of those people that when I do take a nap, which is a few times a year, I fall asleep and I'm out for 3 hours, and then I wake up really groggy, and then the rest of my day is soured. So I guess no, I'm not a nap taker. Number 12, have you ever been to Minnesota, the greatest state in the union? No, I haven't, but depending on what the world looks like, I have potential plans to go this summer. One of my partners and I's really good friends lives there, and we would love to visit him, and we haven't seen him in a few years, so yeah, maybe. Number 13, have you ever tried to emulate someone? I think this is a kind of strange question because everyone has to have done that. Mirror neurons. This is just how people work. We try to emulate people around us. It's how we learn. And I think that especially at a young age, you're just extremely impressionable. So I'm sure I've done that in my youth. And, if you ever have a mentor or someone that you feel you want the qualities of, you try to emulate those qualities. So I guess so. I mean, yes, I don't think anyone could honestly answer no to this question, because I think you're doing it subconsciously, even if you don't think you are, because it's subconscious. That's how that word works. It's fine. Okay. Number 14, what is the worst food you've ever eaten? I don't know. I mean, I tend to think, I don't really remember bad food experiences. I more appreciate good ones. And I'm not, as a child, I was very picky when it came to consistency of food. Like, I couldn't eat banana or yogurt because it was like, oh, the consistency. As an adult, that doesn't bother me anymore. And yeah, I just kind of love food, so I can think of my favorite food experiences and my favorite restaurants in the world that I've been to, but not really worst food. Okay, 15. Do you enjoy bars? What kind? Are you or have you been a regular at one? So, yes, I guess, like, one of my favorite things to do to, like, explore an area is to go to breweries. I really love beer. You know, it's socially, like, acknowledged that there's, like, wine snobs and people can taste the notes of wine and whatnot like that, and I'm definitely like that with beer. I have preferences on types I like. I prefer darks and I prefer sours and gozas and, like, fruited beers, but I'll really drink any type of beer that is nicer. I don't really like cheap beers. So on that note, I more go to breweries and beer bars. If it's like a local brewery or a beer bar that might stock like locally made beers, that's the types of vibes I like to go to, like the open floor space. I'm not really into like the tavern style, like bigger floor spaces, open plans. I mean, I have ones in the area I live in. Oh, and ciders. So I live in New York. Apples, tons of apples. We have tons of places that make cider. We have a really great one called Nine Pin. I don't know how far and wide that's sold, but I really enjoy it. They're more dry. You know, I'm not a regular. I don't go often because to me, it's like if I could buy it and bring it home and drink it at home for cheaper, I'm not going to go out and drink it every single time. But if I am going out, there are a few that I will go to, but I wouldn't consider myself a regular. Like, they wouldn't recognize me there like the used bookstore owner recognizes me. So that was a really long answer. Wow, I was doing really well up until there. Okay, number 16. Have you ever been hungover? Yes. 17. What was the last time you laughed out loud while reading? When was the last time you laughed out loud while reading? Last night, reading Radiance by Grace Draven. I laugh out loud all the time when I read. 18. How would you label or describe yourself politically? I would put myself more on the liberal side of things, but like more in like the socialism side of things. So just don't tell my family that. 19. What was the last movie you watched? I don't really watch many movies. Oh, but while I was making Coquito for Christmas, I did watch Holidate. It's like Emily Robertson, and someone else. I just wanted to put on like a rom-com in the background. 20. Do you want kids? Do you wish you had kids? If you have kids, give a piece of advice. So I don't have kids. I don't wish I had kids. And I don't know if I want kids. And I'll just leave it there. 21. Do you get along with your siblings? I have one brother who is a few years younger than me, and we live on opposite sides of the country, so we don't see each other that much, and my family is not really good at keeping in contact. I think people are rather surprised when I tell them I talk to my parents maybe once a month. And it's not because it's a sour relationship at all. It's just like we're all kind of bad at getting a hold of each other. And then when I do talk to them, it's normally for quite an extended period of time, and then we'll go and live our lives, and the next time we chat a month or two later, we have a lot to update each other on. I talk to my brother even less, but yeah, we get along. It's just like we're both bad at texting, we're both bad at giving each other calls, we both know we care about each other, and we'll like randomly text each other something funny or just an update, but yeah. 22. What is a book you have serious issues with but love? Okay, so I didn't plan this in advance, so I'm just going to go with something I read recently, which was a reread. And I think I would say it's not serious issues, but the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I have qualms with some of the choices in how it was written. There's some things that I don't think age very well, and I have a review. I think I talk about these types of things, but despite the things that I see as flaws, I still love the series. 23, what is your favorite theme song to a movie and or TV show? So like I said, I don't really watch many movies or TV shows, but when I do watch TV shows, I'll rewatch them multiple times. So nowadays with Netflix, you can just skip the intro, which I do because I don't want to listen to that every time I watch a show, especially because I'm like the type of person that binge watches things, so I don't want to just like keep seeing it back to back. I would say nostalgically, probably Gilmore Girls. I mean, classic song. And then One Tree Hill, I Don't Wanna Be by Gavin DeGraw. That was like kind of a jam for me back in the day, so probably those two. 24. Do you like your job? If you switch careers, what would you do? I don't really want to go into too much of what I do, but I essentially work in an office and I review a lot of documents and I go to a lot of meetings and I review them for compliance and I work in quality. So it sounds really boring when I describe it to people and it's kind of confusing, but I enjoy it. It works for me. I like the critical thinking aspects of it. I now manage a few people, which I also enjoy. I am one of those people that can really, as long as I'm like being stimulated and I have a good support group of people, like coworkers, manager, which I love a lot of my coworkers. I work really well with them. As long as I have that and I don't absolutely hate my work, I can kind of do any job. I don't really have a dream job because the things that you enjoy, once I'm doing them for like a monetary value, it takes away a lot of the enjoyment of something. So I actually wouldn't want to pursue a passion as a job because then it would become a job to me and not a passion. And that's just how I work personally. 25, what is something you love about the city you live in? The thing I love about where I live is no one ever wants to come here and no one really wants to live here, which sounds counterintuitive, but it means that I never stand in lines. I grew up in suburbs outside of San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley. Like, I grew up in a very crowded area that kept getting more and more crowded. After that, I went to school in LA, which is very crowded, and now I live in a place that is a much smaller. I think the city I live a few miles from, like the big city, is less than 100,000 people. I like not being in crowds. I like not being surrounded by people. I like not having to make reservations, and this is all pre-COVID, but not having to make reservations when I want to go out to eat. I like being able to go out for coffee and there's a place to sit. And you don't have to trek like 3 coffee shops, which I swear is what would always happen to me anytime I was in like LA. It was always like annoying if I wanted to go study at a coffee shop. It was rather impossible. And we're also close to really big cities. I'm within 3 hours of Boston and New York City. I'm within 4 hours of Montreal. So I can get other places fairly quickly, but I don't live in them. Okay, and last question. Who is your celebrity crush? Emma Watson. Okay. That's all I got for this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. I don't know if this gave you any insight into who I am as a person. For the question about my favorite type of music, I kind of said that it was like what I liked in high school. I just want to give like, I grew up when like scene kids, like the scene kid vibe was rich, you know, and these aren't my actual friends, but like this is what my friends looked like. So I personally had like dyed black hair. I had my like underside of my hair bleached, and had it like bright pink and bright teal and blue, and this was definitely pre having dyed colored hairs being super socially acceptable. So anyway, happy reading.